Romanticism is a very broad topic. The era encompasses so many great artists and regions of the world that it can seem overwhelming. So, for your sanity as well as ours, we're just going to focus on the French Romanticism and how the art that was produced there affected their ideologies, and perhaps even more so, how their ideologies affected their art. A lot of this art from 1800 to 1850 emphasized nationalism and revolutionary action, so it can get a little dark. Sounds fun. Let's get started. Finished in 1793 during the height of the Reign of Terror, Jacques-Louis David's The Death of Marat is considered part of the neoclassical movement. But it establishes many concepts that will become very important during the Romantic era, and we can look at it to see where art will be heading in the decades after it. Instead of showing a classical legend, it depicts the assassination of Jean-Paul Marat, French revolutionary and friend of David. His figure is idealized, with a pose similar to images of Jesus. The painting's darker, more opaque color palette is reminiscent of Baroque paintings and makes the scene more emotional. The goal was not to convey a moral message like pretty much every other neoclassical painting. It was to make the viewer sympathize with the French Revolution, and this new theme of political messages rather than moral ones will be incredibly important going forward. And ultimately, it leads us to one of the crowning achievements of the French Romanticism, Theodore Géricault's Raft of the Medusa. In 1816, a French ship named the Medusa had run aground in the open ocean. The lifeboats could not fit everyone on board, so a makeshift lifeboat was made out of the broken ship for the remaining 150 people. Starvation, murder, and cannibalism left only 10 people alive after a brutal 13-day journey. The specific moment being shown is one of vain hope. The raft's occupants see a ship on the horizon and are optimistic, but the ship will pass them by and will not return to rescue them for a few more hours. Géricault spent a long time interviewing survivors and sketching various models and ideas before he finally settled on this exact moment. It was not entirely realistic and accurate to the actual event, but he wanted his painting to be a brutally tangible depiction of the 1816 tragedy. The point of this new romantic style was to convey its messages with emotion rather than idealized figures or ancient legends. This also means that the messages tend to be more subtle. It isn't clear if Géricault even had any message in mind when he painted the Raft of the Medusa. However, a viewer looking at this piece in 1819 would have seen the failure of the captain, and by extension, the monarchy, to protect his crew. The news of the tragedy would surely have stirred such emotions, but Géricault's grisly depiction of this event made it more tangible than words ever could. A few years later, in 1830, France was going through another time of conflict. The middle and lower classes were not happy with the actions of the King Charles X, and it didn't take long for revolution to occur. They called it the July Revolution, because it was a revolution that happened in July. Very creative, France! This revolution was depicted in Eugène Delacroix's Liberty Leading the People. The vibrant colors and flowing brushstrokes of the French Romanticism are incredibly clear here. Like the Raft of the Medusa, there are a lot of things going on. On the left, you see this dude in a suit with a rifle. On the right, you see this kid with 2 pistols. And next to him, you see this woman framed in this bright smoke leading the charge. Delacroix is saying that no matter who you are, old or young, rich or poor, it is your responsibility to fight for your country. The woman in the center, holding the flag up high, wielding a rifle and bayonet, represents liberty, supporting a population that is demanding change. There may be a lot of dead bodies there in the foreground, but Delacroix is saying to the viewer, remember what you're fighting for. Freedom and justice is a prize worth dying for. In terms of architecture, France did not have many achievements since Napoleon spent all their money fighting the entirety of Europe. However, Napoleon had said to his soldiers in 1805 that they would return to France through arches of triumph, and he liked the idea so much that in 1806 he commissioned the Arc de Triomphe to make it a real thing. Though it was originally intended to specifically honor people who fought in the Napoleonic Wars, after World War I it also became the location of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and its accompanying eternal flame. There are also some very dramatic sculptures on the side that add to the monument's impact. The Arc de Triomph's image brought together the nation of France, from aristocrats to peasants, everyone believed that France would remain powerful and victorious. As you can see, Romantic art in France was usually based on recent events, and the emotional depictions of these events affected people's perception of them. It was a cycle that just kept on turning for years and years, inspiring and influencing generations of people. And that's our presentation. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk.